Here are some things basketball and space have in common. There are stars, rockets, rings, and most importantly, gravity. In basketball, gravity is the amount of attention opposing defenders pay towards a player, and every player has gravity, whether you're a guard or a big.
Puts it on the floor, 1 on 3. Alperen Sengun, ladies and gentlemen.
And that gravity can be strong or weak.
Robertson for 3.
With that in mind, the players who have the most gravity, who attract the most attention from defenders, are usually the best players, the superstars, for the most part. This is Kyle Korver. If you grew up watching basketball in the early 2000s like I did, then you probably recognize him. He was known for being a pretty good role player over his 17-year career. In 2015, he averaged 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. Respectable, but not one you would expect from an all-star, not even close. But he did make the all-star team, and was a huge reason the Atlanta Hawks won 60 games, second most in the league, only behind the 67-win Warriors, the eventual champions.
Y'all won a bunch of games, 4 All-Stars in. But the people want to know, should there have only been 3 though?
We knew how much he meant to our team.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely probably the MVP of our team. When he made threes, we'd score 130 points.
Yeah.
And he made defenses change.
Mm-hmm.
When Kyle was on the floor, you had to account for him. He was almost like the go-to player for us.
Korver holds 2 3-point records, most seasons leading the league in 3-point percentage and for the highest 3-point percentage in a single season. In short, Korver was one of the league's best shooters in an era where shooting was at a premium.
Bury it, baby! Bury it!
But Korver didn't have the greatest handle or the elite athleticism to drive by or over defenders with the ball. He needed to find a way to leverage his shooting without the ball in his hands. Luckily for him, players with similar games already laid down the blueprint.
And Miller on target again.
I wasn't the biggest of guys, but I knew I could shoot, and I knew I could read screens. So if I could run all day, then I had the advantage.
Moving constantly on offense without the ball was how Korver attacked defenses. Whether it's finding open space,
There's Kyle Korver again.
How about 2 in a row, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, indeed.
relocating across the court,
Good rebound. Kyle sprints to the other end.
You got to know where this guy at all times. There he is again.
How about 3 in a row?
or running for a handoff.
Kyle fly down the
They're making it 4 in a row. Let's get it.
And that is why they sell out this building every night.
Defenses needed to know where Korver was at all times. If not,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
today's game is all about shooting and movement. And even though he retired over 5 years ago, there are still shades of Korver's game throughout the NBA. Korver is just one of many sharpshooters who built their games around moving without the basketball. I would encourage you to go back and watch their highlights because it shows just how much the game has evolved and how teams' understanding and value of gravity has changed.
I'm not a system player, I am a system.
So Korver's value came from moving without the basketball. But what about the more common way players impact the game, with the basketball in their hands? But first, a quick history lesson. During the mid-2010s, a new strategy emerged where offenses decided to give the ball to their best players as much as possible. And I know what you're thinking.
God, what's your sole purpose in this army?
To do whatever you tell me, drill sergeant.
God damn it, Gump! You're a goddamn genius.
Star players have always had the most control over their team's offense, but during this time, it was taken to extremes we had never seen before, the heliocentric offense. And 2 players became the poster boys for this new offensive philosophy, James Harden and Luka Doncic. So what made these 2 the perfect players for the job? First, a high basketball IQ. Can you recognize when to score? When to pass? Next is a good handle. You need to be able to get to your spots on the floor. Can you shoot off the dribble? Split a pick and roll? Or punish a switch? Last and most important is the ability to score at all 3 levels. Remember, scoring ability is the biggest threat to a defense. If you always have the ball and you're able to score from anywhere on the court, the defense is always on edge.
Man, James Harden. He could even make a 3 anytime he wants to. He can get to the basket anytime, and he's a great free throw shooter. He's the best one-on-one player I may have ever seen.
Put simply, offensively, are you able to do anything and everything on a basketball court?
What's interesting about Luka, I just think with spacing and with shooting, we're having all these scoring outputs. It's because there's not a good fucking answer.
If Kyle Korver's gravity pulled defenders' attention away from the ball, Then Harden and Doncic pulled attention to the ball and themselves with the gravitational strength of a black hole. Running the heliocentric offense, Harden and Doncic have put up huge individual stats. And while their teams have made deep playoff runs, coming oh so close, a team that wins the title in the modern era running the heliocentric offense would be the first.
Curry, way downtown, bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
But what if there was a player skilled enough to tailor their game where they are just as dangerous without the ball as they are with the ball? We know Stephen Curry is dangerous with the ball in his hands.
I remember dribbling through traffic and then a fadeaway three, and in my mind, I'm thinking, that's a terrible shot. That's a terrible shot. That's a terrible shot. What I eventually figured out is that it's a great shot because it's Steph Curry.
But the threat he presents without the ball can be a little bit harder to see. Over the course of his career, Curry has ranked among the top 10 in the league in assists only 3 times, and none since 2015, nearly a decade ago. But Curry does just about as much as any player in the league when it comes to getting his teammates open shots.
And I know that goes against every coach. Ball, you basket, see the ball. The ball is the problem. The ball is not the problem with Steph Curry. He's the fucking problem. Steph is most dangerous when he doesn't have the ball, which is not many guys all time in our league that's most dangerous without the ball.
Take a look at this play. Notice because LeBron is so focused on Curry coming off the screen, he preemptively hedges to help Dellavedova until he can recover. Iguodala, seeing LeBron help off him for just a split second, cuts to the basket, and Livingston finds him for a dunk. A split second, that's all it takes. Another example, this time Curry has the ball. Draymond Green sets a screen, and Curry is quickly doubled. Curry and Green know that if Curry passes the ball to Green, he can drive down the lane wide open, forcing the other Cavs to rotate and help. They do, and Green lobs to Ezeli for another easy basket.
Festus Ezeli on a nice feed from Green.
This time the Cavs refuse to double. They don't want a repeat of what we just saw. Instead, the Cavs center fakes the double team and immediately drops to the paint to protect against the Green drive from the previous play. Again, Curry and Green know exactly what to do. Green immediately passes the ball back to Curry and sets a hard screen. Shumpert is stopped in his tracks. Mozgov is too far into the paint, and Curry takes advantage. Splash.
Stephen Curry from downtown, it's back to 11.
3 different plays and 0 assists for Curry in the box score. But none of it happens without Curry's gravity. Curry and Green have played together for well over a decade now. That level of continuity is becoming rare in today's NBA, where it seems like players change teams all the time. Their games have evolved together. They've developed counters to the counters. The Warriors have built an offense around leveraging Curry's gravity to its highest potential, and it's brought them 4 titles in the process. So it begs the question, players are coming into the league shooting more threes than ever before. As a whole, they're more skilled than ever before. So why haven't we seen more players build their game similar to Steph's?
One thing is that's underrated is Steph level of conditioning is crazy.
You know, you really got to get your rest. You got to be well conditioned because he's going to make you pay if you're not.
It's just 48 minutes of where is Steph? You got to know where he is at all times and conditioning and the way he moves without the ball, off the dribble, off the catch. So that's just what makes him different than any person this game has ever seen.
Before we get to the handle, before we get to the perfect running mate, before we get to the fact that
Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God has ever created.
Put simply, it's the conditioning. Curry's gravity is always in effect. There are no possessions off.
You look tired, you know that? Oh, I'm great. I'm just getting old.
But the same goes for his defender.
I think that makes him just so much more lethal is because the second you look back, he is gone. He is gone.
Defenders are on edge every second of every possession.
Find Steph coming off a screen. Does he have the ball? Does he not have the ball?
That slowly builds up pressure. And pressure brings stress.
Constant of paranoia, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Stress brings fatigue.
And it's just tough on a defender because you can't take a break.
Fatigue brings discomfort.
Guarding Steph is uncomfortable. And the problem with our guys in our league, they're not comfortable with being uncomfortable.
And discomfort brings fear.
The gravity. Once he gets off the ball, you're probably more scared of him off the ball than you are on.